Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to be filming this video because it's going to be answering a lot of your questions. I've actually planned on filming this video for over a year now and I just never got around to it. So I am going to be talking about what is wrong with my arm. The question everybody wants to know the answer to. Well, let's start 26 years ago. On December 16th, 1990, I was born. I weighed 7 pounds, 12 ounces, and there was something different about me. I had a birthmark covering my entire arm and my chest and my shoulder blade. Sometimes I wonder what my parents thought when they saw me at first, what their initial reaction was, but they never seemed to mind growing up. They never said anything about it until, let's see, I was 6 or 7 years old the first time I had laser treatment surgery. The treatments went on from the time I was 7 until I was, I'd say, 16. They were extremely painful. When I was younger, they would put me under anesthesia and I would wake up and I'd have blisters all over my arm from the laser. I would throw up because of the anesthesia and then I'd go home, and it never really seemed to make a difference. As I got older, they stopped putting me under anesthesia. They would give me a local anesthetic, which was just some cream to rub on my arm to numb it, and be honest, it didn't really work. I could feel everything and it was horrible. And then the next day I would always wake up and I'd have hundreds of blisters on my arm, and then I'd have to wait for them to like pop and then scab over and then they'd go away. Sometimes they even caused scars, which looked worse than my birthmark to begin with. So I eventually decided I didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't helping. I was just going to live with my abnormality. And I'm so glad I stopped. To be honest, the last few years, I haven't even thought about my birthmark, other than sometimes wearing a bathing suit, going to a public pool, going to a wedding where I have to wear a strapless dress. Sometimes I think about covering up with makeup so people don't stare, but otherwise I really don't think about it too much. I would feel odd if I didn't have my birthmark, and I've actually come to appreciate my difference. So I'm totally okay with it, and I don't want to go have any more treatments done ever again in my life. So let's talk about some of the bad experiences I had growing up. The earliest I can remember was going into the cafeteria in probably 2nd grade, and we had assigned seating because we all got in trouble for being too loud or something. And I went to sit down next to this little boy. Okay, so I sit down with my food. He looks at me, makes this awful face, and says, "Ew, I don't want to sit by her. She has a disease." And it hurt my feelings so bad. I have never forgot about that. Never. Oh my gosh, that little boy was so mean. There wasn't a lot of bullying in school when it comes to my birthmark. That's probably the only time anybody really said anything, unless they were just staring or they asked me what it was, which does not bother me at all. What bothers me the most is when people stare and don't say anything. Like, just ask me and I'll tell you. And don't assume. People like to come up to me and ask me, did I get burnt? Do I have sun poisoning? Oh my God, what is wrong with you? Is that contagious? Just say, hey, I noticed there's something on your arm. What is that? And I'll tell you. But don't come up to me freaking out because you think something is terribly wrong, okay? The next major incident was when I was probably 14. And I had just had one of my treatments, so I was bruised and blistered, and I had these little dots all over me. Little purple and black dots. And I was camping with a friend of mine, and we decided to go to the pool. I didn't really want to go, but I wasn't going to sit at the campsite by myself. So I put my bathing suit on and I walked down there, and I was super self-conscious. I just like kind of looked at the ground. I didn't get in the pool. I kind of sat on the edge and let everybody else swim. And this grown woman comes up to me and says, I don't think you should be swimming with all these kids. I don't want them to catch whatever you have. And I was like, lady, it's just a birthmark. And she said, oh, well, what are all these spots? And I had to explain to her what it was, why the spots were there. But that was the rudest thing. I could never imagine at my age going up to a little girl and saying the things that that woman said to me. It was super embarrassing. It made me cry. I called my mom and I went home. What else happened? Oh, the day I went and tried on my wedding dress, someone made a big deal about my birthmark and ruined my whole experience. So I picked up my wedding dress and everything prior to this happening. This is the appointment I had to go pick up my dress, try it on, make sure everything was fine. So I put it on, I went and I stood in front of the mirror and I was looking at myself and making sure everything looked right. And this lady came up to me and said, oh my God, what is wrong with your arm? Here we go. Oh, it's just a birthmark. And she goes, that's a really big birthmark. Like she thought I was lying about it. People can be so rude. Other than that, there hasn't been a lot of big issues. Just sometimes going out in public in the summer when I have a tank top on, people will stare. I think that's the rudest thing, is when you just stare and you don't say anything. Don't do that to somebody. If you are really that concerned about it, just ask them. I know that I'm really lucky with my birthmark. The fact that it comes up my neck and stops is really rare. Most people who have neck birthmarks, they actually go up onto their face and they usually cover half their face. The type of birthmark I have goes by many names, but the most popular is port wine stain. There's some other names, but I just call it port wine stain. Really all it is just extra pigment in my skin. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't cause me any kind of discomfort. It's different colored skin. And something really cool about it is it changes colors. So if I'm cold, it'll be purple or blue. If I'm really mad, it will turn red, like bright red. If I'm sick, it'll turn to kind of a purplish color. So it's kind of like a mood ring. It kind of changes with my mood, and I think that's really cool. I like to say that birthmarks are hereditary because both my sons have birthmarks. They are not anywhere near as big as mine. Both my boys have stork bites on the back of their neck, which is just a port wine stain, just right on the back of their neck. And Gavin has another birthmark on his shoulder, which is kind of like a raised up little bump. But that's it. That's what they got from me. Alright guys, thanks so much for listening to my story. I will catch up with you next time, and please, if you ever see anybody with a birth defect or some kind of abnormality, please, please do not stare at them, do not assume, and don't disrespect them. I will see you next time.